Hello, and welcome to episode season 3, episode 1.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You guys, it's a new season.
New season, season 3.
Said that the other day. I'm like, we're starting season 3 on Monday. I don't know what's going on.
Season 3,
Yeah.
episode 1. Like we keep it track. Boy.
I think it's always like, in the back of our head, like where we are.
Mm-hmm. And today, like no other day, we received some news while I was away on competing, which I will talk about at the end of the show. I tell you, I'm excited, like always. I'm always excited. Today we have practice with the kids, and they get skills that they didn't have before, or that they did before, but they feel more comfortable about. I think that being quiet and listening kind of help.
So with the kids?
No, everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone
that is true.
Needs to be silent.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, it is the space between the bars that keeps the tiger in. You have to pause.
Mm-hmm.
We pause when we do yoga, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know this young lady. There's some people coming in. I know this young lady for a long time, and she first brought her kid to gymnastics, and then I saw her at it was a birthday party where she was doing. She brought the parachute and things like that, and she was doing some things. So she used to do birthday party, and then she started the yoga school, and to me that's fascinating how that changed so quickly. And we're going to talk to her more about it when she comes on, but it was just so interesting, the road that she's been on. It's inspirational. I think that I hope that a lot of parents that are watching that they're listening to this, because it's very inspirational.
Yes.
So tell me about you and your week.
My week
was very interesting.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I was sick last week. I was sick, and COVID finally got me.
Yeah.
And I was feeling, and one of the reasons why I went to urgent care to get checked is because I was watching a commercial and they were saying like the symptoms of the new COVID. They were like, oh, it starts with a sore throat. And I had been nursing a sore throat. And as soon as I start to feel anything like that, like I'm getting under the weather, I always start to supplement every single day. The one thing that I really need to do is go to sleep earlier, because I don't go to sleep till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning every night. And that's not good.
Which is interesting, because you always used to go to sleep before me.
Yeah. It was the pandemic that messed me up.
Yeah.
It really just messed me up. And we ended up going to Middletown on last week on Monday. And by the time we were done, doing some shopping, my body was just so achy. I was like, I need to go to urgent care. So when I went, I left the gym. I didn't even tell you. And to Layla, I was just like, oh, no. I was like, I'm leaving. And I went straight to urgent care. And then, so everything else was negative, thank God. But then, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I was sick. And I was basically in bed all of last week. But I'll tell you one thing that I did do every single day. I did yoga. And on Tuesday, I did it twice.
Yeah, you surprised me, because I heard you. And you know that when I'm doing my exercise,
I can hear you. I
can
hear you. Yeah.
And I heard, and that was
the breathing?
Yeah, I heard the breathing when
yeah.
and And then you come out. Yeah, I did my yoga.
It's very important to do that. We keep hearing that, especially because COVID can attack the lungs. So to stay moving and the deep breathing. So, did you plan this guest after I got sick or before?
I actually had spoken to her a while ago.
It just sort of coincided.
Yeah, it just coincided. But I always wanted to have her on because, like I said, I think it's fascinating. Her story is fascinating. I mean, we don't have boring guests, but
we never have
boring guests. But it's fascinating because I think it's inspirational for people because she became an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I was reading her bio.
Yeah, so I'm going to show a couple of pictures, then we're going to bring her on.
Our guest tonight, before you show the pictures and cut me off.
No, go ahead. You could talk.
So for our viewers at home, our guest tonight is Doreen Foxwell. She founded the Children's School of Yoga. So we're just going to go through some photos. And then we're going to bring her in as well. We're going to talk to her, find out, what her mindset was when she did it, how she went about it, because, a lot of people are trying to start, businesses. And, I think all information and advice from any person that started a business is useful.
Okay, so we're going to bring her in.
Namaste.
Namaste, Doreen.
Hello, Pete and Crystal. It's so good to see friends back from New York while I'm in North Carolina. But I was just in New York over the holidays, and it's where my heart is. It's my home. And it was so good to be there, even though it was so cold. It was so cold.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah.
The weather was a little bipolar.
Well, the last couple of weeks, because we had some 50, 60 degree days. It was quite bizarre.
From day to day,
freezing.
Yeah. So how are you? Welcome to Tweed Talks.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I am so honored to be the first guest of the new year. And when you were saying that, I was thinking it is the Lunar New Year. When we had this past full moon, it was the last full moon of 2022 lunar year. So just 2 days ago, this is the new year. So wow, I'm like, getting the chills from that. I was like, that was so meant to be for me because it ties into my new part of my business with kids. So I was like, oh my gosh. So yes, Pete, thank you. We've known each other a long time.
Yes.
We did talk months ago when you asked me. I think it was in December, but whatever. It is the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It always is. Now let me ask you, because you were where did you go to school?
What? I'm sorry.
Regular school, not yoga school.
Yoga school or regular school?
No, just regular school.
Oh, I was a Bushman, Pine Bush, New York.
Pine Bush. Okay.
I'm from Middletown, New York. I mean, I that's where I grew up. My parents migrated out of the city and brought us to the suburbs. So I was from the Bronx, but I grew up in Middletown, New York, and I'm a New Yorker to this day. You can take the girl out of New York, but you cannot take the New York out of the girl.
Yeah, that is true. So, and then when you were going to school, what were you studying? I mean, what made you go in this direction?
Okay, so when I was in school, I had a wonderful upbringing. I had wonderful parents, upper middle class, that I got to do everything from dance to music lessons to piano to just everything. I got a taste of. I danced ballet classically from the age of 3 to the age of 16. At age 16, my knees really started to bother me. And I think I was diagnosed with like water under the knees, but I have a terrible memory for these details. But I think that And so it made it pretty difficult anytime when I was dancing. But what really got me to stop dancing was I got mono at 16.
Oh.
And it kind of knocked me off of that dance career. So then I was involved with drama and music. And like you, Crystal, went into some acting things. I did extra work. Did extra work even during my marriage. At times I would do extra. And that's actually something not many people know. Because
because I didn't read that in your bio.
That's not my bio. It's not that I'm not proud of it. I've been in some really big movies, like with Gerard Butler, Jennifer Aniston, Spider-Man movies, all as extra. But it was a way for me not to be in charge, as you know, Crystal, and to just be in the background, having someone else telling me what to do. Yeah. So this was later in the years too, in my 20s or 30s or 40s even. But I have stepped away from that because my business demands my full attention. But so I did do that. I did not get introduced to yoga until I moved to Rock Hill, New York, and they had a yoga teacher there. And my daughter at the time, I think I might have known you longer, Pete, because I think my daughter might have come to some of your gymnastics stuff. I thought it was my son, but I think I'm going back because my daughter is 34 or 35. She's going to kill me. I mess up her age all the time. So, but I think she came to some of your classes. But anyway, she's older than my son. But at that time, when I moved with my husband to Rock Hill and to the community we're in, they had a yoga instructor. I took my first yoga class and I was hooked. And I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I have this when I quit dance? This I liked. This was more up my alley as a dancer, flexibility, strength. Very similar to dance. It would have been an easy transition, but
I was just gonna say that transition. Yeah.
So for me, it was love at first sight. I started doing yoga, but I really started doing yoga because my daughter hit the teen years, and let's just say that somebody had to do something to get through the teen years, and so I was doing yoga for me. To be able to survive the teen years with her.
Okay, I got it.
But she's turned out beautifully, better mother than I think I ever was. She's just a great mother. But that's how I was introduced to yoga. It wasn't until years later, and Pete was speaking about where he would see me. You're right, Pete. I used to work for a parent play program called Gymboree. I worked for Gymboree for 6 to 8 years. And when I worked for Gymboree, that's when I was introduced to yoga. And I never put the two together until years later when, as my bio probably talks about, I had an epiphany in the middle of the night. I literally had an epiphany. It woke me in the middle of the night. I woke my husband and said, I'm supposed to be doing yoga. And he was, yeah. And I was like, no.
Leave me alone.
I'm supposed to teach it to kids. I'm getting up to research this now. This is free Google. It was not a Google search. It was good old dial-up that we had on the computers that would take forever on like Internet Explorer or AOL. And I did a search. And so then I found out what I needed to do to get certified in kids yoga. I didn't want anything to do with adult yoga. I've been about working with kids like Pete. I'm all about the kids. That was my mission from that day. And that was in September of 2003. The end of September 2003, I had that epiphany. I started to get certifications in kids yoga, and I started to write my curriculum knowing I was going to create a franchise from it. Knowing I needed to write everything down. I just knew it. Downloads, they call it, I guess. And by January of 2004, I started the Children's School of Yoga. And within a few months, I had to hire teachers and figure that out, how to do that and train them. And it took me 8 years to franchise because I had to build credibility.
Right.
Had to build it. And it got built to the point of we were in 5 states. We had several franchises. I was the franchisor, I guess you call it. Stuff. And it was a well-oiled machine. Pete knows when you have hundreds or thousands. I had thousands of kids in the program. Pandemic. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, PA, North Carolina, where I moved. I took it with me. I had the studio in Monroe, New York for 14 years. I had a studio. Different ones. We switched across the hall, but different ones. But I started my first studio in Middletown, New York. That was my first one. I'm on my 4th studio. But the very first place I ever offered classes was Warwick, New York, and the neighborhood facility in Monticello, New York. Those were the 2 places it might have been February or March of 2004 that I started classes.
You know what's so funny is that I feel like teaching at the neighborhood facility for a stint is like a rite of passage for all the fitness instructors, because Donna Singer did that with was it Jazzercise?
Yeah.
Alberto Almonte, he taught like dance there or something, and then people always go on, and now you have a franchise. And Donna's teaching in Florida. Yeah.
And Mrs. Green started with us as well. She started.
Oh,
Nancy.
Nancy, yes.
Yeah.
It's a rite of passage.
It was a great location. If you just had to look past all the oldness of it. It was great.
All the tables and chairs from the 80s.
Everyone knew it. And we had families in Monticello, Rock Hill that would come, Liberty, from all over. It was like a hub. So it was a great experience. It was so wonderful. And then we did things differently. I did not rely on having a facility site for families to come to me. That came later to open the studios. And to this day, I still don't rely on who comes in my door. I would have been shut down during the pandemic if that were the case, which I did have to shut down my New York studio because of not being able to teach out of it. But I felt going to the kids, going to the schools, going to the community centers, going to the daycares. That is how I did it from day one. The studio was secondary. It was more of where I outgrew my house. My husband had it with life in my house. I mean, I have hundreds to thousands of props we use.
Of course.
Hundreds of yoga mats we use. He was like not having any part of that part. He was great. My husband's great. But it got to the point where I outgrew our house that I had to find studio space. So, and that to this day, I just recently reopened a studio after this pandemic mess. And it took me 2 years to manifest a new studio. Every full moon, every new moon, I was manifesting a checklist of what I wanted for my studio. Okay. From the experience of having other studios, I got every single thing on my checklist except for one thing, and that's okay. It is what it is, But
okay. We want to show some photos. I have a follow-up question, but you want to do photos first?
Go ahead.
Okay, so what did you do during the pandemic when folks were folks still asking you to come into their homes, or were you Zooming, or tell us what you did?
Great question, Crystal. Thank you for that. I might cry again like I did for 9 months. Oh, boy. You know how they kept saying 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, whatever. It kept going. Okay. Well, I was one of those gullible people that believed that and was like, it's only going to be a couple weeks. We're fine. No big deal. Couple weeks. That was, and I remember this day, March 12th, for several reasons when everything shut down.
Yep.
First of all, my husband and I were scheduled to move that week from a different area we were in North Carolina, which I did not like very much.
That's why you were moving.
We were moving to a beautiful area and a beautiful home. And it was literally the days that they shut everything down. Thankfully, our move still happened. When we moved, March 12th, I got call after call after call after call from schools canceling classes because I had, no joke, over 75 schools we were in. Wow. By the following week, we were in 0 schools. The thousands of children that were getting yoga from our teachers going directly in the schools, directly in the childcare centers, directly in all those programs was completely halted, with the exception of maybe 3 schools of mine that broke the rules. I will never say who they were. Of course, secrecy, but they were like, no. All the other schools, I could stand on my head, Pete, like you're very good at. I was carrying on about how can you take yoga, mindfulness, meditation out of your program when they need it the most right now. The problem was there was a narrative happening, and there were a lot of policies and procedures going on that schools had no choice. They were not allowed to have what we were called, now we had a new label that I want to burn, non-essential. We were lumped non-essential. For 2+ years, my program was now non-essential when I felt it should have been the most essential program out there. And so it was so difficult. So for the first 9 months, to answer your question, Crystal, the first 9 months, I literally wrapped up in a ball and was crying almost every day about what to do. What should I do? I'm at an age where I was like, do I just walk away from this business? I just had a lot of doubts about what to do. My husband, he was an essential business. Somehow windows, doors, and roofing was essential. So he was essential. So he was out of the house most of the time. And I had plenty of time to kind of just gestate. I feel like I was birthing a child. Because exactly at the 9-month mark was a friend I went to school with said to me, Doreen, why don't you take my astrology class? You're home, everybody's taking classes and courses online. Why don't you take it? We could not teach online to all the schools because they, A, didn't have the funds for us to do that. And B, it seemed like their instruction from the higher ups were academics. And the teachers had enough on their plate in the schools and the principals and the directors. I get it. And what we do in childcare centers and daycares, try teaching Zoom to a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. Impossible. So anyway, so at the 9-month mark, I took an astrology class from a friend of mine who has this great astrology program online. Her name's Debbie Levine, and she does tea and astrologies, and she does a wonderful program. I highly recommend her. When I took her astrology course, what yoga never did for me, her astrology course did. It opened up my crown chakra and what you call your third eye. Holy smokes. All of a sudden, everything started to download. And I birthed a new part of my business called Kids Yoga Meets Astrology. And I combined astrology and kids yoga, intuition and kids yoga, card reading or that kind of thing in kids yoga. I have combined all the new age elements with kids yoga. And I never, ever thought I would go that direction. I loved myself privately, going tarot readings, going for oracle readings. It was great. I never thought I would be in that world. But kids today come to me and come in all of our classes. And they're like, Miss Doreen, look at my crystals I have. Miss Doreen, here's my tuning forks. Miss Doreen, here's my cards I read. This is like crazy because when I started 19 years ago, kids didn't even know what yoga was. Now, kids that know crystals and they know intuitive things and they're healers. The kids of today are the healers of tomorrow. And I feel blessed to have had 19 years teaching yoga, just yoga and mindfulness and meditation, and now to be part of that healing modality. These kids coming in the world today are such healers. And I have 3 grandsons that I already know 1 or 2 have this gift. One especially has this gift. And it's, anyway, so that's a long explanation of what happened after I birthed another part of my business. I birthed Kids Yoga Meets Astrology. It's science of yoga, thousands of years old. Science of astrology, thousands of years old. And all the other things that come with it. So I have combined yoga with all of it, but it is all about the kids.
Love that, as it should be.
I like some of the things that you posted on your page, like
show
this.
Some stuff.
I am in the South here, Pete. It is not like New York.
Right.
It is definitely different. And so, yes, I am very proud of my heritage, but I also practice Buddhist things. My whole house has Buddha. I'm sitting in front of one of my Buddhas.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just noticed that. Now you can see the face.
I have homes all over. Are you there?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, it's so weird. You went out of my picture. All right.
Oh, no, that we're still here.
That's because we're only focused on you right now.
Because you were showing the background.
You're in a single screen, so
welcome
we're just showing
to
your
my
background.
home studio. I had enough of the regular studio today, so I came home to do this wonderful meet and greet with Pete and Chris. There you guys are. It's great. Just making sure. Sometimes I get knocked. So anyway, so I really I am so fortunate and I feel so blessed that I found my mission a long time ago. 19 years ago, even before then, because even my Gymboree days, I'm very grateful to them. It was my first introduction to working with kids. They were out of Middletown, New York, Eric and Paula.
Right.
They trained me in everything I know with kids as far as nursery rhymes. Wow. I didn't really know nursery rhymes. I didn't know curriculum. I didn't know lesson plans. I owe a lot of this business to kind of having my training through them first and then moving on. I would have never left Gymboree, to be honest. What happened was when I came up with the idea for the Kids Yoga Meets Kids Yoga, Children's School of Yoga, I actually called corporate. I don't even think the owners of Gymboree know this. I called corporate Gymboree and I was like, I have a great suggestion. Let's add a yoga curriculum to Gymboree. I will write it for you. I will teach it for you. I will train nationally for you. But I have this great idea. And guess what Gymboree corporate told me?
What?
Not interested. Guess what happened 1 year later?
They closed?
They brought yoga in. It didn't last. It didn't last, but you know what? That's what happens when you have that spark, that idea. Nobody is ever going to copy you as well as the original.
That's right. That's right.
And so that was what happened with that. And so, we parted ways on very good terms, and I still see or speak to them at times. And in fact, the owner saw me when I was in New York because my car has my logo on it and has my signage on it. And he was beeping and I didn't realize who it was till he was. So I drive with my logo on my car. I wear my logo shirt. I am such a marketer for my program because I believe in it so much. I live my yoga for kids. And so that is what Crystal. So yes, Crystal, we did do a couple virtual classes. The studio participants went to virtual. And to this day, my New York studio participant students still do virtual with us.
Okay.
But it was a handful. It was not thousands.
Right.
I lost franchise owners. I still have the biggest, baddest franchise owner who is in Westchester area. She also survived. And so she survived it. I survived it. But it was really tough to lose 90% of your business for 2 years. So I have nothing nice to say about how things were handled in New York or North Carolina. But we're past that now, and I'm on a rebuild now, and all positive things have been happening. And I am so, thankful and grateful to be in the industry that I am and to make a difference in children's lives. And our mission's always been, if we make a difference in one child's life where they will use one yoga breath, one yoga pose, one yoga meditation into their adult life, we've done our mission. And my mission or goal with the kids, Yoga Meets Astrology, that one's a little different. It's the one I already said to you, my tagline, where the kids of today are the healers of tomorrow. And we just feel like, when I say we, I mean, I'm not alone. I have staff of teachers. I could never do this alone. I am so grateful to the teachers that stuck. I lost half my staff. My franchise owner, Westchester, lost all her staff. And so it really was a numbers game. It was really a number game. The franchises that didn't last were the franchises that didn't have the numbers. The franchises that did, or just didn't stick it out. You just sometimes, I can't imagine, Pete, for you too. I'm sure you had to close down. I'm sure you didn't have people coming in. I mean, I don't know how anybody survived, any business survived 2 years of this shutdown, because I give a lot of credit to you, to any business that did. So.
I mean, that's definitely a challenge. Definitely a challenge. We know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, because even, we were, March 12th is like burned in my brain too, because I remember seeing that email from USA Gymnastics that all gyms needed to shut down.
We were going to a meet.
I remember
that. We were going to go
that.
to a competition, and we had to turn back. We had to cancel it. Yeah.
Well, no, USA Gymnastics canceled it, and we managed to survive, and there are several gyms we know that did end up closing, but we are still here, and still plugging along.
Here's another photo that I found interesting, funny.
Oh, that was my front yard. Yes, we don't have snow here in the Carolinas. We have brown grass this time of year.
We'll send you ours.
Oh, okay. I saw it when I came to New York, and then the rain hit. I was actually laughing one day. One day I was shopping in Crystal Connection in Woodsboro, my absolute favorite crystal shop. I went in, it was raining hard. I came out, it was snowing. I was like, welcome to New York.
I know what day you're talking about.
Yes, that was such a crazy day. I was supposed to see my grandsons, but they had the flu in their house that Christmas. They had COVID Christmas last year. They had flu Christmas this year. Like you, Crystal, I hope you're feeling better.
Wow,
I know it's exhausting sometimes. I was exhausted when I had it.
I could actually be next to her now.
Yeah, that was definitely something different. It was
for a week.
Yeah, I was from Monday to Saturday.
Same house, different room.
Yep.
I found those two photos that I show funny because when I was coaching, when I first started coaching, my wife loves this story. My whole team was all Jewish.
Yeah.
Except for one, and she's half Jewish.
She was half Jewish, yeah.
Yeah, so I never understood why we had a Christmas party.
Oh my gosh. What's so funny? The first year I moved to North Carolina and I taught the Hanukkah lesson plan, the kids were like, what's Hanukkah? What's a menorah? What's this? I was like, oh.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that it was that like not known at all.
Well, the area I was in first was called Fayetteville, North Carolina. You may have heard of it because it has the largest military base in the U.S. there. I would call it by its name, which is Fort Bragg, but I believe it's become a victim of being renamed like everything else in this country. Okay. So I can't even tell you what the rename is right now. But we lived in that area, and that area is very, there were probably 100 churches in Fayetteville. There was one temple, but there was 100 churches.
And on every corner, one on every corner.
There was a church on every corner. It reminded me of New York City, where New York City in its day had a yoga studio on every corner. Not anymore, but they literally would have a yoga studio on every street, on every corner at the time. So that's what it reminded me of. But so yes, Pete, it is funny. Where I've moved now is called the Triangle, and it's near the Raleigh Capital area. There is a lot more, first of all, New Yorkers here, New Jersey, Connecticut, especially in the last 2 years. They all came down here, and Florida, but they came here. And they are in this area. There is more Jewish people like myself, but I don't go by that much. People who know me don't even realize I'm Jewish. They think I'm Italian because
I can, yeah.
I'm not Italian at all. My daughter's half Italian. But I am not Italian at all. So I just birthed an Italian. That's all.
You know, it's interesting. You really may not even realize it until you move out of the area, how much of a cultural melting pot this area of I mean, all of New York, yeah, but this area specifically, especially in Sullivan County.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, it's like a huge mezcla. Right?
Yeah. I am so happy to have raised both my kids there. I loved being able to have the 4 seasons, all the different sports that they have, wonderful teachers and coaches like you, Pete, for my kids. I mean, it was such a special place to raise our kids. It's one of the reasons my husband and I chose that area, because culturally and we were more, both my husband and I we weren't as concerned with academics. We were more concerned with a whole rounded child, and we had a ski hill right there. They could ski right in my almost backyard. I was like 5 minutes from there. And so there was golf, and some of the best golf courses were in that area. My son became a awesome golf. He went to college for golf.
Wow.
So he came down to the Carolinas. We followed him. so it was and to this day, I mean, Bethel Woods, unheard of. It is I try to do a trip to Bethel Woods every summer to see a concert, but it is such a great area you're in, Pete, and you, Crystal. And you know, Crystal, in your career, it was great because I used to travel from Sullivan County down to the city or down to Brooklyn a lot for filming at that time. But now I see all these films getting made throughout the whole Hudson Valley. And I'm like, why couldn't that be happening when I was there? I had to keep schlepping to the city and schlepping to Brooklyn.
They call it the new Hollywood.
Hollywood on the Hudson.
Yeah, Newburgh. Newburgh has that big hub I've seen, and everywhere. I'm just like, and when I see certain movies, I'm like, I know that's the Hudson Valley. I'll see a movie and be like, I know that bridge, or I know that outline of the mountains. One thing I miss here, the mountains. No mountains here.
Oh, wow.
No.
Some of the comments.
Let's post a couple comments. So, Maya Hazan. So actually, Maya, we met on a film set.
Yeah.
Nice. Hello, Maya. I love the name. There's a lot of history with that name. Maya is a great name. So, namaste, Maya. The light in me sees the light in you.
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you for your comment, Maya.
Let's post you can post Maya's comment down there. She says hello back. Okay, let's move on to Barry Crawford. What is that? Is that Carteret?
On the coast, no synagogue here.
No
I'm not sure what town, city or what state that's in. If it's North Carolina, I'm not familiar with that.
I think it's a coast. He said the coast, so probably he's talking about the coastal Carolinas.
No
synagogue
synagogues. You know where the synagogue is? Here. This is where
There you go.
Honestly, this is where I find it.
Right.
Wow.
So yeah, Barry moved out. Barry's from here as well. He was one of my martial arts students.
My gosh, Pete, I can't even imagine how many students you've had, in the years you've been teaching. You have the grandkids now coming to you. I know, I get it.
Thousands and thousands.
Yes, Barry saying, "Oh yes, I thought you were located in." So Barry, she is, but I guess maybe she is not familiar with that section you mentioned.
No, I'm in the middle, right smack in the middle, off 95.
Okay, that's a good place to be.
Yeah, come visit. You can stay with me. I've got plenty of spare bedrooms here.
Where?
North Carolina.
North Carolina, yes.
No.
Yeah. Not well, near Raleigh. Near Raleigh. We my family reunion
is
on my mom's side is in
North Carolina.
It's closer to like Goldsboro area.
I am less than a half hour from there, 45 minutes. I'm very close to Goldsboro.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay.
Good. When that happens, reach out. Let me know. We'll do
nice.
Yeah. Very good. It's a beautiful area. It really is. I have only nice things to say about. Living in the Carolinas is much easier than living in New York on many levels. It is, of course, you don't have the snow, and the pace of living, the slowdown is a lot less stressful. The prices of things vary. Yes, homes were a lot cheaper before the pandemic. They have caught up. They have doubled in price, just like everywhere else. Yeah. And gas is cheaper. Food is not. Electric is so much cheaper. I cannot even tell you how cheap our electric and our utilities.
Oh my gosh! Don't tell me.
No, I won't.
Don't tell me.
Off camera, because it will make people sick. But so Carolina living, and especially for my husband too, a lot less struggles because he was the snow remover. I would have no part. I never ever shoveled that kind of stuff. So this time of year is very, very much. But I'll say this: kids are kids everywhere.
Yes.
Kids are the same everywhere. There may be some cultural differences. Kids from, let's say, even when I was in New York, kids in the Newburgh area were very different than the kids in my Monroe studio. And Monticello even were very different than the Middletown kids. But North Carolina kids and New York or New Jersey or wherever we teach our curriculum, we teach them all at the same level so that they learn yoga in a fun, age-appropriate way. If they're learning something in a fun way, they want to continue it. And so we believe in teaching them, whether it's meditation or mindfulness or breathing and relaxation techniques or intuitive skills or about astrology. We are doing it at their level. So as you know, Pete, teaching 3-year-olds, very fast paced, teaching teens, you can discuss things, you can tell them the whys, the benefits, that kind of thing. Teens love games and partner stuff. Little kids love movement and music and stuff.
Yeah, we always say that you gotta keep them moving, or else they're over here, they're over there.
Their attention span is a very short attention span.
Very short.
I feel like we really have, my teachers, I'm just so fortunate to have such talented teachers and that love what we do. They live my mission. I could not do it without them. And so I'm very grateful and very thankful that they are out there, in the trenches, and they're out there doing what I'm doing and what I'm sharing, and that I really see even though I personally try not to watch the news and not to watch the media and not to listen to any of the nonsense. I have my husband to fill me in on this stuff. So I try to keep my head clear of that stuff because I need to be positive when working with the kids.
Yep.
And but I will say this. When I work with kids from that biggest military base, they are a totally different animal. I see exactly what happens and what the damage is when they lose parents in what's going on in our world. And it is, for me, the most heartfelt work I do. I thought working with autistic kids and special needs was my favorite. My favorite is working with the kids that have lost a father or lost a mother in the past, in the military, because all the military branches go out of Fort Bragg, Fayetteville, or whatever they call it now. And the kids that go to schools there, they need those techniques, how to heal their broken heart. They have broken hearts over losing a parent at such a young age. And they are just so able to communicate their hurt and communicate what they're going through. And so that's a big part too of the work that I do out this way. And it's very different than the fluff and the fun stuff. It is fun, but there are times that it's very serious. And so to get back to the whole talk you were talking, Crystal, I don't even know how you did yoga with COVID. I couldn't do yoga with COVID. I stayed in bed for 10 days. I couldn't function. I couldn't even look at a computer. I just had to sleep and sleep and sleep and sleep. I did. But yoga does have that healing ability, whether you're a child, whether you're an adult. The breaths can increase your lung capacity by 8 times the size. So doing it during COVID, that's pretty smart. You were smarter than me. And I do this. Yes, the yoga breath, the yoga mindfulness and meditation techniques for kids, it helps improve their scholastic ability, but also their athletic ability, their endurance, their concentration, their focus. And a lot of the ways that we'll teach it, they don't even realize it's yoga, especially the little ones don't even realize it's yoga. The older ones do, but the little ones don't even realize what you're doing. And so, yes, I am just so honored to be in this work, so grateful, so glad I listen to intuition. And adults get hits all the time, but adults are not open to it often. They'll ignore that little voice in their head. I'm just so grateful that I ignored that. I didn't ignore it. And I ignored my husband instead in the very, very beginning. Now he's grateful I do it. But what wife doesn't ignore their husband at times? I mean, I've been married 30 years almost. There are times that I ignore him, he ignores me. It's the only way we survive. But I am very grateful to my husband's support because
he's very important.
Even during the pandemic, he let me be. He did not try to get involved with what to do about the business at all. And when I decided to shut down the studio after 4 months of it being closed down, thank you, Cuomo. And so I said to him, we've got to go get my stuff out of New York and we've got to shut it down and pack it up. We went to New York quickly on a 4th of July weekend. He came, he drove U-Haul, he helped me pack. We didn't even speak when I was packing my studio up. He did one room, I did the other. And we had friends that helped us, so grateful for New York friends, that helped us down 3 flights of stairs because I was on the 3rd floor.
You would have to be, yeah.
But when we did that, I walked away knowing that was going to be my personal last studio in New York. I was done for many reasons with having a studio in New York. I will say that New York is not as business friendly. North Carolina's more business friendly. And I was not going to let another bureaucratic state, whatever, shut my business down ever again. And so I knew that this was it and brought the stuff down. And my studio sat in a storage facility, air conditioned. It had to be air conditioned,
Oh, hey.
climate control for 2+ years. I would visit it. I would smudge it. If you understand smudging, it's when you burn certain insects. I would come and talk to it. I just still treated it like my studio, even though it was all packed up in boxes. And I'm heartbroken over it. I had to process it to decide, do I walk away from this business and sell it or whatever, or do I stick it out? What do I do? So I'm so grateful I got the answer after 9 months, and I started my other business. And it took me 15 months to write the curriculum for Kids Yoga Meets Astrology. It took me 3 months to write the curriculum for the Children's School of Yoga, 15 months for the newest curriculum, 3 months for the old curriculum. So I know there's something there, and I just, I'm working on that now, working on trying to get North Carolina folks to understand kids need healing. Healing. So that's my story, the long and short of it. I feel like I did a lot of talking instead of answering questions, but that's
that's fine.
That's wonderful, because reading over your bio, just all the questions that I wanted to ask you, you definitely answered. So I appreciate that.
There's my husband of 30 years. He's from Maine. It's a good thing he's from Maine, because I am such a strong New Yorker. He is such a calm energy, like Pete. I was just talking to my husband about this. We were talking about a customer he had, and I said, they're a Libra like you, Clint. And he's just like, how do you know? I'm like, so calm. They're just like, whatever.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah. So my husband is just a perfect balance for my high energy and stuff. And he's really one of the only people. I have a franchise owner that can tell me when I'm wrong, but he's one of the only people that can tell me when I'm off base or off track or not right, thinking clear. Because sometimes as women, we just don't think clear. I'll be honest. Sometimes I think with emotions. He thinks with thoughts. And so has yoga helped me with emotions? Yes. But I tell anyone who knows me, sometimes yoga goes out the window.
Yep.
And the Bronx girl comes out. So
we are all a work in progress.
Always. And I'm not ashamed to share my faults. And my kids and grandkids can tell. I don't know if the grandkids can tell you the faults, but my kids certainly are so good at telling me my faults. And so it's okay. I love them. And we love our kids. Pete, I send you love, especially this past year. And, whether our kids are with us or they're on the other side, they are always with us. And I will say, whether you want to hear it or not, and I'm not supposed to ever give messages without permission, but I know that she is with you, helping support you, always, always with you. And so, and I know right now she's here. I can feel her. I can sense it. I'm getting the angel chills. So I just want you to know, and I'm sorry I'm doing it live, but she sometimes our kids or family members, my best friend lost her son. I know that he is doing more work for her and the family on the other side than he was able to do here. And so I sometimes feel like when some people just get to a point that they can do more because they are free of all the burdens of what's here. It is very difficult. This life school, this earth school that we're in, without the tools and techniques that you can learn from yoga or meditation or other means, like even gymnastics has great discipline skills. I was a dancer. I got all my discipline from dance and stuff. So my work ethic came from dance and from my entrepreneurial dad and or mom. A lot of my dad. So I just want you to know that, Pete. And I'm apologizing to the world for doing it to you right here, but it's just, I feel like you probably know it, you feel it. And I have so much love for you and what you've had to endure this year.
Well, thank you for saying that. Now, I'm going to call you Glamour for now on.
Yep, that was New York Christmas. That gift was from my daughter and my grandkids. I don't know how she finds or makes these things. I'm sure she had it made. I came up 11 years ago when my first grandson was born. I have 3 grandsons. She has 2. My son has 1. So I have all grandsons. Can I say how much I love boys? If I have a choice of who I teach most of the time, I love teaching boys. I love boy energy. But when they come out and people say, what do you want them to call you? What do they want you to call you? And I was like, Glammy. And so I call myself Glammy. The kids do not. But I call myself Glammy for all 3 grandsons. I sign every card Glammy or Glammy Claus. And my husband is Grampy. He has no problem. I am Glammy. It's great being a grandparent. I know you also are in the grandparent situation, correct? If
yes.
I'm not, yeah.
Yes,
I have said from day one, I wish you could. I love the grandparent role. Let's just say that I prefer the grandparent role. I really love the grandparent role and stuff. I was made to be the Jewish grandmother. I love being a Jewish grandmother. I fall into that category long ago. So Glammy, that's me. I'm a Glammy. I know people meet me. They don't think I'm a grandmother. I just tell them it's the yoga.
That's a good response.
It is. I mean, I'm sure you get the same, Crystal. You're young. You're beautiful. I'm sure they tell you that you don't look like a grandmother. I've heard it for 11 years now. My daughter is probably sick and tired of hearing it. So I'm just like, but it is, you know what? I feel like you stay looking young, not only by the healthy things we do, like the gymnastics or the dance or the yoga or the mindfulness, but I also feel like it's what you put in.
Oh,
and so
right.
Do I have occasional junk food? Yes. But I am not a coffee drinker. I'm not even a tea drinker. I'm not any of that. I drink water. Water is my biggest beverage every day, all day. So.
And the best energy drink.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I actually believe that. We do that with the kids when they come for a private class and they're getting tired and they can't do the next skill. And they take a drink of water, and all of a sudden it's like,
yeah,
yes, I love it. And then, I'll end with, I'm not sure how long your show goes, but I'll end with how infuse your water with blessings, infuse it with good energy, infuse it with what you want to feel. If you're not feeling loved right now, infuse it with love, thoughts, put those thoughts into your water, and then you drink it, and they'll go right in. And so it's the easiest thing to do, but it's not taught. Imagine if that was even taught in schools. You're having a bad day, no problem. Let's just think we're having a great day. What does a good day look like to you? So it's simple techniques like that we teach the kids, and they don't even realize it. And so
I love that.
Well, you called it. That was a good place to end, because we got to start with love and end with love. And one of the things that I say is that we all have an emotional home base that we always go back to that. You start there, if it was baseball, right? You start on the home base, but when you leave home base, all you want to do is get back to that home base again. That's what makes a home run. So that's what I said. We started with love and we end with love. It's funny how you were able to tell that the show was coming to the end.
You know what, Pete? I have the angels on my side, the Buddha behind me. I've got the ancestors around. Like I said, I've got all this stuff getting downloaded, but no, I actually have a clock in front of me. I'm watching the clock for you.
Oh, that's how.
Well,
I'm not gonna lie. I put a clock there so that I can see. So I respect your time. I am so thankful and grateful to have been the first interview on year 3 of your season 3. I am so thankful to be, and the start of the Lunar New Year. May you have only blessings and love come your way. Thank you both
I'm
so
going to show
much.
you 2 comments before you go, okay?
What was that? Oh, I infuse my water all the time. Yay! Fantabulous. And especially during full and new moons, it's very powerful during full and new moon cycles to do that. Put it outside in the moonlight or in a windowsill too, and then infuse it even more. I love, I'm so glad. I am usually in bed at this time. I will not lie.
But thank you so much.
I am a grandmother. I'm old and tired.
Oh, no. And on that note, Doreen, thank you so much for joining us on Tweed Talks. You were a lovely guest.
Thank you, Crystal. Namaste, namaste, Pete. Mwah, 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 mwah. Love seeing you.
Thank you.
See you soon. Next visit, I'll visit.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Namaste.
Namaste. Have a great yoga day.
Okay. Thank you.
Namaste.
Okay, so there
Have
you
a
go.
Great yoga day.
Right. And we're going to have another great guest next week. Interesting, like Doreen, like she went through a very hard time. And we're going to be talking about her book and her relationship and how she beat cancer.
Okay.
So that's going to be a great show. Well, people, that was the first show of the season. We loved it.
Crazy.
That was awesome. A lot of information out there.
Yeah.
We try to bring different things, different thoughts, and you could accept it and receive it, or whatever you do with it. But we're going to bring all those interesting thoughts into your house. It's like we in Louis' house now. We're going to go over there and eat sometime. Okay, so with that, we're going to say love, peace, and harmony. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.